Mr. Snyder, my God, congratulations. And I was saying, I just don't know how you keep topping yourself. Do you have this checklist? You go, okay, this one's better than this one. This one's better than the last one.
Well, it's interesting. Well, we were talking about how, even though people have said like, oh, so you wrote this, and so it's your own thing, and so it's different from the other ones. And I'm like, yeah, it is in some ways, but it also, once you, even like with Watchmen or 300 or whatever, once you take it and say like, I'm going to make this movie, it comes out of you just like you thought of it, even though, of course, maybe didn't, but sort of it's weird because Sucker Punch is kind of the same way. Like, once it was written, that's a different process, but once it's written and you're like, okay, this is the thing we want to make, then it's almost the same process of saying, okay, well, what are we going to shoot then? Like, what's it going to look like?
I want to know what your dreams are like. Like, do you get up in the middle of the night and go, I got to write this down? Where does this come from?
I don't know. I was a big fan of this magazine called Heavy Metal when I was growing up, and it's kind of this movie is an homage, I think, in a lot of ways to that magazine that kind of shaped my aesthetic in a lot of weird ways. My mom, when I was say like 12 years old, got me this subscription to this magazine, which was for adults only. It's like an adult illustrated fantasy magazine, so there's a lot of sex and violence in it. She didn't know. She thought it was just a comic book, so she was like, oh, she never looked at it, to be honest, and I never showed it to her. I'd be like, oh, my Heavy Metal's here, I better take that to the room. And so I think that, normal comic books then lost their luster for me a little bit because no one was having sex or dying in it. So it was a hard thing to, when you're 14, you're like, okay, come on, show me the good stuff. But I guess, as, your aesthetic sort of evolves, and then, like, you go to art school and you start to, like, maybe be exposed to bigger ideas. Heavy Metal was always back there, There was a lot of amazing artists who contributed to that magazine, a lot of amazing sort of, it's a fantasy art magazine. Franzetta, all those guys sort of being for me anyway, the keystones of my aesthetic being sort of formed in that world. And so that's basically what I try to do with Sucker Punch, is make something that sort of spoke to that world.
Yeah. Your casting in this is it's great. We know who these girls are, but yet they're not big giant stars, and they were so amazing. And I wanted to know, why did you pick who you did with the 5 girls?
It's, it's another thing, it's interesting, even just now, when I see the girls or whatever, even this, after we've shot the movies over and everything, maybe it's because, this is just based on original material or whatever, the girls now have personified those characters for me in my mind. Like, if I think back to, like, forming the idea, now I picture those girls as, like, the beginning. So I think that, and different from other movies that I've done, because there's a picture of Leonidas that's not Jerry Butler, And so I can always go, oh yeah, that was the original sort of idea. But in this case now, these girls have the sort of line between their character in the movie and who they are to me in real life has, like, gotten all messed up.
Did they surprise you because you really put them through the ringer? Not you personally, but these girls worked out for months and months to get in shape. How did you even know that they could handle it?
Honestly, I just, we talked a lot in the casting process that there'd be this physical training, that I wanted them to do the stunts themselves. And I feel like they all looked at it like, okay, this is a mountain I'm going to climb, and I'm mad. I don't want anyone to say I couldn't get it done. And I feel like they each came with that kind of intensity to their roles. And I think that also it pays off in the drama of the movie, in the sense that, they had been suffering together in the gym. And then when they actually go to these scenes where they're actually supposed to be a cohesive group of girls that know each other and have seen each other suffer or whatever, that's real. That they actually did go through some kind of a trial. And I think that was fun for me. It was actually fun to see it in the scene and go like, wow, that's like not it. One thing with working with the girls, and it really, to me, sort of, you see the difference between men and women. And it's like, one of the things, like, for instance, with the training, the girls on 300, it's the same training style. With the guys, we would pit them against each other. We would say, okay, this is the exercise, and it was like a timed exercise. I can do whatever it is, 100 pushes in 30 seconds, and run over there and do how many presses it is, and it's all however long that takes. And then if you get to put your name at the top of the whiteboard, and then people have to if your time's not as good, so you're constantly saying, oh, that guy beat me, and it's like a constant fight. Where with the girls is the exact opposite. They all were like supportive, and that just backfired. That concept doesn't work. So it's just interesting to see sort of the differences in just the way that we are. It's kind of fun.
Was it fun getting in touch with your feminine side?
It was, actually, honestly, it was. There's there's one scene where the girls make their plan to escape, right? And at the end of the scene, which would basically in a movie, if it was a bunch of guys, where they'd be like, all right, I'm in, and they'd all be like, and like punch each other, whatever. At the end of this scene, they're all crying and they're hugging each other, and it's like, it's great. It's awesome.
This is not a fair question, but who surprised you the most out of the 5 girls? Really kicked butt them, and really just, they all gave it their all. I'm not gonna, but really.
Well, I gotta I think the thing, it's kind of a toss-up for me in some weird way. I think Emily, just because, she just never did sports or anything when she was growing up. She had no idea, she's an actor, it's like, and that's awesome. But she just was not, she's not that kind of she never, I don't think she she didn't kick a ball, she didn't throw a ball. She's just not, if you throw a ball at her, she's like, what are you doing? Why are you throwing an object at me? So she really had to dig down and find that part of it. And she did. And at first I knew, I was like, oh, geez, she's got to do all this sword fighting. It's a big deal. And by the end of it, she's just cranking away. And then, of course, Vanessa, it's odd, and fun to see her fighting because of but on the other hand, because she was already physical, that's why it's not super surprising with Vanessa, but it's fun. It's just fun to see her in that iconic world.
Well, yeah, of course, because everybody's used to seeing her, the High School Musical type thing, and now she's getting older, rightfully so. She wants to grow up on screen. Do you think that this was a good move for her to do this?
I do, and I think that by the way, look, her audition was awesome. I didn't even they're like, oh, Vanessa came in and auditioned. I was like, what? That's awesome. And I was like, so then I looked at it and I was like, wow, she's really good. We should hire her if she'll do it, And then I met with her and I told her what it was about, and she's like, oh, I'd love to do it.
Good challenge for her, for sure.
No.
I would think there was a ton of stuff you must have shot that didn't even make a cut.
Well, I'll tell you, the movie was intended to be PG-13 from the beginning, and there's just a lot of fighting that the MPAA was like, okay, you guys have enough fighting for 2 PG-13 movies. So we did have to, we went back about 7 times to get our PG-13. So we were right on the ragged edge.
Yeah, but I had been reading about some musical numbers and things too.
At the very end of the movie, there's a musical number in the title sequence that is that'll be on the DVD. You'll see as a real sequence in the movie. But the reason why I took it out was because it kind of undercuts a teeny bit the sort of danger that the girls are in. Because it's just so fun. It's the funnest thing ever.
It really is. You like to shoot in Vancouver. Why?
I love Canada, I guess. I do love Vancouver. Now I'm Canadian a little bit. We were just saying, I've spent more time in Canada in the last 5 years than I've spent in the U.S., so it's pretty intense. But I'm Vancouver. I love Vancouver. I love my crew in Vancouver. My guys are amazing. They're geniuses up there. And, I like hanging in West Van. That's my hood, and that's how I do it.
Okay, I have to address Superman because everybody is just waiting on bated breath with this. I know you're just not even going to shoot till the summer, but Henry Cavill, oh my God bless you. He is so awesome. Why him? What was it about him?
Henry just has this amazing. Well, first of all, he's not. He's a pretty good-looking cat on one hand, and he's also, he has this sort of ability to be accessible, but still have power in that. There's there's a fine line in there, where you feel like you can get into the person, sort of find a way in, but that they're still aloof and powerful when they need to be. And I think that Henry has this sort of, it's charisma in a lot of ways too. It's that undescribable thing is what makes him our Superman.
A little nervous about it, or excited?
I'm nervous just because it's so awesome, and it's just, and Chris and David just handed me an awesome story to work from, and so I am excited about it. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, me too. I cannot wait. Thank you for that, and thank you for this. This was a lot of fun.
Okay, cool.
Good talking to you, Zack.